Well, hello there, my name is HW, and thank you so much for watching Tone Junkie TV. My friends, this is the Bandmaster Reverb TFL 5005D. Is bigger better? I think in this case, with these old cabinets, yes, it is better, and we're gonna get into why. But before we do that, I wanna say something. This is one of my all-time favorite guitar amplifiers, and yes, we're about to profile it, but this is one of my all-time favorite guitar amplifiers. Now, hang on. I know what you're saying.
HW, I don't like that you say everything is your favorite. Every pack is your favorite. Every amp is your favorite.
Hey, this is Tone Junkie TV, all right? I have a lot of favorites. A 62 AC30 pre-top boost, that's my favorite AC30. Until I'm in front of a 66 top boosted AC30 with original silvers, which I got coming up in a couple weeks. Then that's my favorite chimey get the edge tone AC30, but it's not the Beatles AC30. It's not Brian May AC30. You get what I'm saying there? I love the Silver Jubilee. It's my favorite Marshall, but oh my gosh, a Plexi in front of me. I love a deluxe reverb. I love a twin. I love everything. You guys. The 57 Bandmaster is my favorite all-time amp, unless I'm near another amplifier. Do you get it? This is Tone Junkie TV. It's not Tone, very sensible relationship, very healthy relationship with money and gear TV. Do you get it? You get what I'm saying? All right? It's for you. I do this so that you don't have to. Okay, listen. I want to tell you why this is my favorite amp, because it's not because it's very rare, or because it's a prize vintage piece worth a lot of money. It's not even because it's very iconic or it led the way for all sorts of other tones or amps. I don't even know if anyone famous ever really recorded with one of these, you know? It's not Robin Ford's Dumble. But what this thing is HW's first vintage amp. Not this exact one, but this exact model and cabinet and everything with these speakers. So, story time, okay? A much younger HW, before I had that name, was running around San Francisco buying and selling gear. I realized that I could buy and sell gear and I could flip things for a profit. Not much of a profit, but at the time I was in community college and I got pretty good at flipping this stuff. I was making some money, not a huge amount of money, but a huge amount of money for me. And at the time, it was really fun. It was fun to get all this old gear and try it. And all I would do, I would go on Craigslist, I'd look at listings, and then I'd look for what they go for on eBay, and I'd research stuff. And then I'd make people offers. And anytime I saw something I didn't recognize, I'd Google it, I'd go on Harmony Central, I'd go on the gear page, I'd go look for any websites I could that talk about the history. And that's how I became so familiar with a lot of vintage amp models and how I kind of know the years and stuff that Fender started doing this or that, or different speakers appeared. Because anytime I saw something I didn't know something about, I would just go read about it. I was thirsty for this guitar knowledge. And I loved flipping stuff. So I started out with just a couple cheap pedals. And I had a couple big scores. I remember one time I bought a box of microphones for 150 bucks. I knew there was $300 worth of microphones inside. There was two SM58s, some other random mics. But there was a mic I didn't know anything about. I bought it, got home, quick researched all the mics, realized this box wasn't worth $250, it was worth $650. Paid $150 for it, made an easy 500 bucks. And I kept doing stuff like that. You know, you keep buying and selling and eventually you get a couple big scores. And it was a killer deal. So I got this amp eventually, and then I didn't want to buy and sell it, so I kept buying and selling smaller items, and then I eventually got a Marshall Silver Jubilee, and when it was time for HW to be made into an honest man, I needed some money because I didn't have any money that wasn't in gear, and that's kind of similar to today, and in too many ways. But I needed to propose to my wife, and I needed a ring to do it, and I sold my Marshall Silver Jubilee, but I was able to keep this thing because at the time it wasn't worth a lot of money. You know, maybe you could get them for $800 with the cab, which is a really good deal, I think. Now that would be a killer deal. They've gone up a bit in price, but I got married and never regretted selling that Marshall Silver Jubilee. But later, a little bit later, I was still in school. This time I was in university, and my wife was working as a nanny. And 1 month we were a little short. I think she had got laid off. We applied for unemployment for her. And then there was some snafu. She didn't qualify, or I don't remember what it was. She filled out some form wrong. So we weren't going to get anything until they had some hearing or whatever in like 4 or 6 weeks. So we needed to pay our rent. I didn't want to ask my parents for help, and I didn't want my wife to worry. So I thought quickly, and I said, oh, you know what? We're going to have some extra money this month anyway, so it's all going to work out, because I was actually going to sell that big amp in there. It's too heavy. I'm tired of bringing it to church. That was a really big lie. I used to lug this thing on Sundays every morning to church, this huge cab. The worship leader there would make fun of me, and he would say, he told me this, I would be embarrassed to bring an amp like that all this way. I would be embarrassed. And I said, well, that's the difference between you and me. I'm not embarrassed at all. And I would still say, I mean, that's the truth. I'm not embarrassed. I don't know what you're embarrassed about. You're not carrying it. I am. So anyway, I would go down there. I'd unload my car. This is in the back seat of my car, man. My Corolla. I don't know how this thing fit. No, I would borrow the larger car. That's how committed I was to gear. I used to call my dad and borrow his car on Sunday morning because he had a full-size sedan. And so I could fit this thing in the back seat. That's the Tone Junkie, all right? Don't tell me I got too many favorites, all right? I had amps so big they didn't fit in my car. I would call up my dad and go, hey, let me switch cars with you tomorrow. Yeah, Saturday nights we'd switch cars. That's so I could play 2 sets of 6 songs each on a Sunday morning for no pay. And then I'd bring it back home and switch cars with my dad. That is a Tone Junkie. All right? Get out of here with, you say every pack's your favorite. Whatever, all right? Shoot. All of them are my favorite. Listen, no, I love you guys. I love all the comments. I know you're poking fun at me, and I do say that a lot, but I want you to understand where it comes from. It's a genuine love of all things Tone. You know? It's Tone Junkie TV, not Tone Sensible TV. Anyway. So I got rid of this amp, and it's really nice having this amp back because it brings back a lot of memories, and I think that this is just going to be a sentimental piece for me. This is a 69 drip edge. It's huge. What I love about these cabs is bigger better? Yes, kind of. The sound of a Fender combo is bright, and they usually have a good amount of bass, but these cabs add in this low depth to the bass that you usually would get more out of like a larger cab, like a 410, or with like a Marshall or Mesa Boogie deep switch or something. So there's a really cool thing. It is bigger, better. It's different. You get this deep thing that you don't get out of combos. In fact, later on, after I sold it, I found someone who had converted this Bandmaster Reverb to a combo, and they had put it in a combo, and I bought that combo and had it for a couple of years. It never was as magical as this combination. I had a sound guy tell me this is the best amp he had ever heard live, and he said the bass was just clear, but it was very bright, and that's what he liked about it. And these silver faces are known for having a little more top end than the relatively warm black face stuff. And you can hear that right now. I'm playing, look down here on the floor with me, I'm playing a Petty John compressor. I don't remember what this is called, but it's a Petty John compressor, and it's one of my favorite compressors right now. And by itself with nothing on, it sounds like this. It sounds good. Without the compressor, it sounds like this. I'm using the compressor to bring out a little bit of that pop and high end on the Strat, and also just boost the signal just slightly. It's a little bit how I would use it on the Kemper, but a little more exaggerated. With the Verb, it sounds like this. with a little delay, it sounds like this. And when you turn on a little overdrive, this thing sounds fantastic. This is the king of tone. Man, I love that tone. With the, I like the distortion side of the King of Tone too. I never talk about pedals enough, but the King of Tone is one of my all-time favorites. It's just, that's a great sound. It's a great sound. It gets a little noisy, so much gain and stuff. But man, this thing took pedals so well. It still does. It's not a bassman, so it doesn't have as much girthy sort of grunt and growl, but you get this very like 70s sounding overdrive with it. Let me show you if I turn up this thing just a little bit and we get it out of clean territory. I'll even bump up the mids a little bit, cut back that treble. It's this like, it's like wall of sound huge, but it doesn't get like full on overdriven. Do you know what I mean? It gets grunty and big, and it's really the sound of the 70s actually. It makes a lot of sense. Eric Clapton used these once he got into the blues stuff. It does this like that big, huge, loud, kind of grumbly. Grumbly is a good word for it. It's not raspy, it's big, and you cut the bass down, but you still have all this low. It's really nice. Let me show you on a different guitar because the Telly just behaves very differently. Get that low Telly rumble. I'm gonna hurt my ears in here if I don't turn this back down. It's just big and mean and just, I mean, that was the mids on like 10, but here you go, a little clean or something. Who says silver faces aren't fat? With this cab, it takes on a different thing. You cannot get a Fender combo to sound like this. It's like a little more present almost than you get out of a lot of blackface kind of things, but it can be fat because you got all that low, it's the deep low end. I just think these are some of the coolest looking, coolest amps out there. Bright, fat, but this. It's so big and rumbly in this room, it just sounds like Godzilla stomping through the streets. Anyway, this is one of my favorite amps. I'm really excited about it. It's gonna come out tomorrow. I will be showing, hopefully I'll have some samples later today. for everybody. But if not, there'll be some freebies tomorrow, some free stuff. I'm going to run a bunch of pedals through it, and I'm really going to get everything out of this amp that we have. I've actually shot all the profiles already, but I got to just go back and make a couple little fine tweaks, and I might take out some of the pedal options. Anyway, why am I getting into the weeds? I put a bunch of pedals through here, but we'll see what makes the cut and what doesn't. Because, you know, this thing loves tube screamery type things. You can hear all that mid-range is going to come out, but you got to get those louder rock tones. Normal channel's even more aggressive, but still not a basement. I love these Bandmasters. There's something, I think because they get to my sweet spot in terms of gain, and then they just kind of stop, you know, and then they just get louder and fuller and bigger and weirder, you know. It's really a unique sounding amplifier, but I'm really excited to start getting into some of these more unique 70s iterations of these things. But we still got to do a blackface Bandmaster too, like a real proper one, a really vintage one with a vintage smaller cab. These cabs are deep, big, better. Look at that. Look at it next to the guitar. You can see how big this thing is. It's huge, huge. It is just big and fat and enormous. I love the King of Tone through it too, is like otherworldly. It's just big and fat, bright. You could turn off that bright switch and you get something a lot more. You hear that when there's no brights? Now it's still that bright silver facey thing, but with that low. My gosh, I love Tone. I love this amplifier. It has a special place in my heart. I just wanted to share, I really wanted to share the story with you guys of why this thing I think is so cool. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. This is just a fun video about the amp. Profiles are going to be out tomorrow. I'll have a demo and a walkthrough and some cool stuff. Some freebies, of course, are going to come out for this thing, and hopefully this will get you through the weekend. The 40% off sale is going to continue, maybe as long as we're home. You know, I really appreciate all the support. I'm trying to get as many amps in here as possible and try to give you guys something to do. I think as a YouTuber, I guess that's what I am at some degree. It is a little bit our responsibility to keep the masses doing something, and if that means playing some free profiles and watching some stuff, then hey, why not? Why not? I'm happy to do it. Thanks everybody for watching Tone Junkie TV. HW out. It's really begun to remind me, oh yeah, all the big cabs. I gotta go back. And now makes me go, I gotta do a blackface basement again with its big cab. But not, see, in 67, they went from the little cab and they made some of the big cab, right? I already got a dual Showman with two JBL 15s in it, the D series, the D150, whatever. And so I got that cab too. So I'm going to get a basement and put it through that, and a big basement cab. And we're going to redo a proper, truly vintage. Because we have a basement pack out, but it was through a more modern cabinet. It was actually through my Scumbags. So when you play that old 65 Loman pack, it sounds good, and it's a little more rockin', I think, than an actual basement is. But I want to do a proper vintage, because it's profile the world. It's capture the world. So we got to capture everything.